Okay. Hello. I don't know exactly what's going to come out in the cards, but you should know your life better than I do. This isn't going to be 110% for everybody who's here, but if you're open to it, this should be helpful to you. If you want to take a deep breath with me, we could take a deep breath. One, two, three. And then let it go. So, first things first, it is the 3rd of September. And I'm laughing because if this is if we're on the same frequency, you might have just lost something recently. Could have been a physical item, could have been a person, could have been like an opportunity, but like something was lost. And once again, I'm laughing to keep from like losing my mind. Um, and you might be really upset about it for obvious reasons. And I don't want to tell you how you should look at the situation. I don't want to tell you that there's a correct perspective, but I do think if you took the time to really sit and reflect on losing this thing, you could really come to a solid conclusion about the decisions that you're making and the choices that you're making, the habits that you're perpetuating. We are in Virgo season as I speak, and Virgo is an energy of being analytical and order, and it's also about karma and health and stuff like that, but we're not talking about that. It's about order, it's about routine, habits. And one thing I've been seeing a lot with tarot readers and other energy readers is the advice of setting good habits, making sure that you're getting into the practice of good habits, whether that's making sure that you eat healthy every day, making sure that you get adequate exercise. Oh my goodness, tongue tied. Whether it's making sure that you go to sleep at a certain time every night. There's just this energy of laying the foundational work. And I actually said in a previous reading, I think it was a written reading, I don't remember, but I read for a year into the future, and I was basically saying that if you take the time now to set that foundational work, a year from now should be pretty Gucci. Now, we could also talk about the nuance of the election season. If you're in America, if you're not in America, election season is happening. And so a lot of people are really charged and really angry and really riled up. And so this is something to consider. I haven't pulled any cards. We're 3 minutes in, I haven't pulled any cards yet. But I'm gonna spirit. What's the energy? What's going on? We have the Queen of Pentacles, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Wheel of Fortune. This Queen of Pentacles, I feel is you for the most part. I feel you are a very stable, very grounded individual. You try to keep a rational head about yourself. And I don't necessarily seeing this change per se, but with the Wheel of Fortune here, I feel there's this energy of you putting more than you can handle on your plate. This could be in the realm of relationships, it could be the realm of work, this could be the realm of spirituality even. You're just putting too much on your plate. And the Eight of Pentacles, the Eight, we could talk about the Eight. The Eight is a number of balance. It's also the infinity sign if you turn it sideways. And with the Eight of Pentacles, whenever I see the Eight of Pentacles, it's a card about balance and hard work. It's about being dedicated to your craft, right? And once again, you're putting a little bit too much on your plate. There's nothing wrong with hard work. There's nothing wrong with being serious about your work. But consider if the drawbacks are worth the results that you are aiming for, because, and I don't want to be that person and be you don't even know if you'll even manifest what you're going for, but you don't know how it's going to look. You don't know if it's going to match up with what's in your head. Expectations are something that are very dangerous when it comes to manifesting and creating. I'm going to pull from this life lessons deck and see what comes through. There might also be an energy of procrastination, and I only say that because I had to force myself to make this video. Like, right before I started recording, I was just like, I don't want to do this. And so here I am. We have the freedom card, which says, I possess the power and the free will to create my own happiness. And once again, with the energy of like putting too much on your plate, it's like, for some of you, this isn't going to resonate for everybody, this is kind of specific. It's like you're building towards the future, but you're not considering the present moment. You're like, which some people will say that that's a good thing. Some people will say you shouldn't really think too much about your present circumstance. It's debatable. But if it's affecting your physical health, that might be taking it a little bit too far. You know, like if you're not getting sleep, if you're starting to feel sick because you're not getting sleep, if you're, you know, feeling overworked and tired, that might be a sign you need to take a little bit of a pause, you know? What's with the Wheel of Fortune here? What things are changing? Also, if it really matters, which I tried to refrain from doing this, but I do have a headphone in, and I'm listening to like pop music, and the song that's playing right now is Good Graces by Sabrina Carpenter. And I feel like there's a message in there for you about like, well, there's several messages coming through. There's one message about like, what's the phrase? I'm trying to like say it correctly. Not crossing the line, but like treading the line. Like, I'm getting the imagery of someone who's like walking on a balancing thing, like they're walking on a board, and they're trying not to fall over. And I don't know, there's this energy of like hyper focus, and that being like sort of a detriment to you, like because you're so hyper focused on like the details or like a certain aspect of a project. It's like you're not thinking about the whole of it. I don't know. But we also have the trust card here. The trust card says, I accept that my inner voice will always guide me correctly, which I always have to say the nuance of like, this isn't necessarily true because of trauma. You know, trauma is very much so a thing that hinders our ability to intuit. Because trauma will tell us, no, don't go there, don't do that because you've been hurt before. But it's like, logically, that's not the same situation. You know, before you were dealing with your sister, now you're dealing with a stranger on the street. Those are two different things. You can't really, you know, apples and oranges. And it might end up the same way, who knows? Maybe your intuition is telling you there. But once again, my Virgo nature is like, no, there's nuance. You have to look at both sides of it. There might be somebody from your past that you've been thinking about. That also might be the message that's coming through with this song. Like somebody who's moved on, or maybe you've moved on. And like there's this energy of like, I miss you, I want you, I still think about you. And then the other person is like, well, you should have thought about that when we were still together. Once again, this could be you, this could be the other person. And we have the Justice card, we have the Seven of Wands, and the Ace of Pentacles at the top of the deck, technically. And so there is this energy of I don't know, like, if you are a naturally balanced person, like I said in the beginning, like, there might be a moment where you are really tested with this. But if you wouldn't really classify yourself as, like, a naturally grounded person, I feel like you're going to be balancing out soon, to some extent, to some degree. What's with this trust card? What are we putting our trust into? For some of you, I'm hearing like a specific situation about like someone trying to like do a fixer up, if that's how you say that, like someone trying to like change somebody else. Like it could be a friend, it could be like a romantic situation or whatever, but someone is trying to like change the other person. They're trying to make them be a different person. And for lots of reasons, this is never a good idea. We do have the King of Wands coming out in reverse, technically. And so I do get the energy of someone who's like kind of like insecure, someone who's like not super confident with themselves. This could be you, this could be somebody else. But generally, I feel like there's an urge for you, there's a pull for you to like maintain your sense of balance. With the Seven of Wands here, I feel like this is the first card to come out that kind of disrupts the balance. Because, first of all, it's the first minor arcana. Second of all, it's the first odd number. And so, and also, if you need to know the message of the Seven of Wands, it's really about, it comes right after the Six of Wands, and the Six of Wands is about victory and success. And then right after that is the Seven of Wands, which is another battle that you have to fight. You know, like you just won, you just got to celebrate, and now it's time to go back to battle. And
I don't eat lunch though.
and once again, with this Wheel of Fortune, with this Justice card, something is really going to like test your resolve. And I think you'll be pretty Gucci. I think you'll be pretty good. But I will say, have self-compassion if you happen to act in a way that is out of character or not within your values. Because I do see that's for some of you. I do see you kind of being like taken over by a certain emotion and like really giving it to someone. And once again, self-compassion, because from the way I'm looking at it, you're a very naturally balanced person. You're a very naturally grounded person. And this situation, this person, this whatever is really going to like push you. Also, the song that's playing in my ear right now is Coincidence by Sabrina Carpenter. So if we go back to the romantic thing, there might be like that sort of storyline in your relationship where it's like, I mean, the subtext of the song is about like a three-person relationship thing going on where from this point of view, from the person who's singing this song, she's talking about this ex that she had who, by her definition, by her standards, was very like flaky, very unreliable, in the sense that like they would say things that they didn't mean. They would, you know, move in a way that was not in her best interest, basically. The song stopped playing, so now I don't really have a reference anymore. But it's like, I mean, the deeper message of like a coincidence is like, you know, something that happens at like the perfect time.
To do it on nice days.
And I personally don't believe that there's anything such as a coincidence. I think everything kind of happens for a reason.
But there's room for more that you take agrees.
And I feel like some of you are kind of like confronting this on a spiritual level. Because if you pay enough attention, you can see the correlation. You can see how things connect, even things that seemingly don't connect at all. Like everything is connected, and when you have the ability to see that, I think a lot of people tend to like neglect that, and they kind of like pretend like they don't see what's in front of them, and like I would recommend not to do this, personally. Because this just creates a discordance within one's own reality. What's the word? Cognitive dissonance? Where it's like, you want to believe something, and so you want to believe it so badly that you disregard facts, you know? And unfortunately, a lot of people do this. We have the Knight of Pentacles and the Ten of Swords. For some of you, there's like a relationship or a situation coming to a close, which I feel like I've been talking a lot about the last few weeks. And the cheesy saying, every ending is a new beginning. And it is very true. Anytime anything ends, anytime you lose something, there's always something available. But obviously, you have to be willing to choose that. Obviously, you have to be willing to see it that way. And I think for some of you, this thing that is ending was something that lasted quite a while with the Knight of Pentacles here. Something that could have been taking its time to develop, and you were like, I don't know if this is really working out. I don't think so. And so you were like, what's that song from High School Musical? I gotta go my own way. And it's bittersweet. It might be really painful for you as the person walking away. But I feel like you know in your heart of hearts that it's best for you. You know, whether it's a job, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a romantic situation, whether it's your family, like, you know that, like, distancing yourself from this energy is going to be very helpful. And that's where we have the trust card again, like, trusting yourself to make the decision that is painful. You know? And once again, we have Good Graces playing again. I don't know, the lyrics are very poignant to the song. She's like, when I love you, I'm sweet, like an angel, drawing hearts around our names and dreaming up, writing vows and rocking cradles. Don't mistake my nice for naive. I know lots of guys. You do something sus, kiss my cute ass bye-bye. You see. I'm sorry, I'm just jamming. I know, this song actually does go off though. Like, I could tell she was in the studio. She was like, this needs to be a pop hit. And that's what she did. Okay, so let's see. What's on the other side of this ending? Like, what opportunities are available to us on the other side of this ending? We have the Judgment card, and we have the Six of Wands. So on the other side of this ending, there's a situation that is one of two things. It's either only happening because you have had your eyes opened up enough to be able to see the opportunity, or alternative, it's a situation that is adjacent to that. It's like, I mean, I feel like that's kind of the summary of this energy. It's like the opportunity is only available because of this ending, because of this painful thing that happened, because now you have your eyes open to see, like, oh, cool, I'm gonna take that. Could be a job situation, could be, once again, could be a love situation, etc., etc. And it's gonna be something to celebrate. It's gonna be something to really, like, you know, call home about. And it's funny because I actually did mention the Six of Wands earlier in describing the Seven of Wands, and now we have the Six of Wands coming out right on top of the Seven of Wands. Also, what's funny is that the Ten of Swords came out on top of the Wheel of Fortune, which are both 10. What's going on with that? Yeah. Back to the trust card. There's a situation, and it could be anything. It could be job, could be love, whatever. But there's a situation that you were in that there was a lack of trust. There was a lack of, like, basic trust. And now that that thing is coming to an end, or has come to an end, it has, like, how do I say that? It has placed upon you a renewed sense of faith. Like, you are now able to, like, look at the world with a more optimistic lens because you're no longer clouded by this distressful situation. And if it's a job, let's talk about that situation that happened in the news a couple of days ago that I've been hearing about. Apparently, there was a woman who was working at, I think, Wells Fargo or something, some bank, and she was found dead in her cubicle. She clocked in at 7 a.m. and then 4 days later they found her dead. There's no evidence of foul play, but it definitely is like a moral lesson of like, don't be investing all your time and energy into these jobs because they don't give a fuck. Like, if you were to die right now, they would replace you in a heartbeat, you know? And if it's not about a job, it's still that sort of energy of like, you should not be investing so much of yourself into this situation because, once again, you could be replaced in a heartbeat. Which is really sad to think about if we are talking about a person, because I feel like you were really hoping for this person to like be something for you, to like love you and to like show up for you, but for whatever reason they couldn't do that, and this is why it had to end. And I do see you learning, if not already, because some of you are already there, but I do see you learning how to like show up for yourself and how to love yourself. Because controversial, it shouldn't be controversial, but I think everyone should love themselves. I think everyone should be able to like indulge in themselves without shame. But unfortunately, we live in a society where people are made to like shame others just for existing. You know, people are made to, oh my god, it's not funny. I made a TikTok earlier about how I despise the mean girl trait. Like, Mean Girls, no. I actually did not finish watching the Mean Girls movie because I actually got so emotional, unrelated to anything. I was like so emotional with like what was going on in the movie. I was like, I can't finish this. I don't care. But you know, I hate a mean girl. Like, I genuinely wish nothing but peace and healing for these individuals because it's like people who embody the mean girl trait are just like sick, like sick in the head, you know? Because if you knew better, you wouldn't act that way. If you knew better, if you cared more about your life, you wouldn't like put that energy onto others, because what goes around comes around. And you can disagree with that, you can disagree with the idea of karma, but it is what it is. What goes around comes around. What you put out is what comes back. And I've learned this in so many different ways. Thankfully, never in the sense that like I was dishing out negativity towards someone, but I've witnessed it with other people. Like 9 times out of 10, anytime somebody like, and this isn't like a brag on myself, but like anytime anyone's ever tried to like do me any harm or anything, it's always come back to them in some way or shape or form. And sometimes it's kind of sad to see it happen because I'm like, I was rooting for you, but you chose to act the way you acted. You know, what goes around comes around. And I don't know. I think a lot of people, I'm sorry, I'm getting into a rant. I think a lot of people like to think of themselves as like infallible or like stronger than God. And I think that's such a silly way of thinking. It's like, what? How? You know? And I'm sorry, I'm off my pedestal. Okay, back to the reading. Generally, I do see good things for you, mostly because I'm wishing it for you, but also within the cards, these are relatively good. The only arguably negative card would be the Ten of Swords and the Seven of Wands. But the softer side of the Ten of Wands is really just about healing. It's really just about reflection. I know that there's one deck that I used to have where the Ten of Swords is this really beautiful card where she's on a beach and she's just kind of looking out into the water, you know, and it's this energy of reflection, this energy of like pondering our past actions and our future actions. And if I could get on my pedestal again, I do think a lot of people lack that sort of thinking. Like, a lot of people don't really take the time to consider how their actions affect others, you know? And it's no tea, no shade. It is what it is. But for you watching, this is something to consider. Like, if you haven't been considering that recently, consider that. Because once again, everything is connected. And the energy that you put onto other people, you will get that back at some point. Maybe not even in this lifetime, I don't know. But at some point, it will circle back to you. So this is one of the reasons why I'm not a mean girl. Like I don't entertain that. I'm not like no. And we could talk about the spiritual like side of that and how like there's demons attached to people and shit like that. We could talk about that. We're not going to talk about that, but we could, and that's a factor. But at the core, oh, actually, if we were to talk about that though, I did have somebody recently put it into my ear that like a demon, quote unquote, is really just trauma that is like repressed, like negative feelings that are repressed. So like people who, for example, are homophobic and in the closet, but also low key gay, they tend to create demons surrounded around their sexuality because they choose to neglect that side of themselves. How did they say it? When you repress the human, you create demons. When you suppress the human, you create demons. So when you push down certain parts of yourself, when you pretend like they're not there, that creates that creates trouble, that creates chaos. And so, if I could just put that into your mind, consider that. And then the way to like resolve those issues would be to acknowledge those parts of yourself and to show love to those parts of yourself. Even the ugliest parts, like even those parts of yourself where you're like, that's not okay. That shouldn't be there. Like those parts deserve love too. And with that being said, I'm going to pull a couple more cards from the life lessons deck and then I'm going to close this out. We have the abundance card and we have the adversary. Well, that's not how you say that word. We have adversity. The abundance card says, I'm a limitless being and I can manifest whatever I desire in this physical reality. Beautiful, beautiful. And then we have adversity. I accept that challenges are the best way to learn. And then finally, which is actually kind of like continuing, we have the growth card, which says, I want to expand my consciousness and my awareness. And I actually kind of like the way that these four cards are like put, because we also have freedom here. And it's like some of you, with the judgment card again, are entering this mindset where you are looking at the world in a more expansive way. You're looking at the world in a more, not opportunistic way necessarily, but like you're recognizing, like the abundance card says, like you are a limitless being who is able to manifest whatever they want into the reality. The caveat is that you have to put work towards it. You have to work towards it, but anything is possible. And I did mention health earlier. Some of you might be like focused on health. And the reason why I say that is because at the top of the deck we have health. I will honor the physical vessel that enshrines my soul. And then right underneath that, which is really funny, and then, because I said funny, we have the humor card right underneath that. We have the judgment card, which, the reason why it was funny is because we also had the judgment in the tarot. And the judgment says, I understand that everyone has their own unique path and challenges. And I feel that heavy for you. Like you are really opening up your mind at this time. And I think a necessary part of growth is self-compassion. Somebody on here was talking, well, not on here, not on this platform. Somebody on TikTok was talking about how it's impossible for someone to like grow and do better if you are shaming them. If you, instead of like allowing them the space to grow, are like, haha, look at what you did, you're a terrible person. It's like, this is why people lie. This is why people do the things that they do, because they don't want to face that shame. And that's another discussion for another day, like how shame shouldn't necessarily be something that we shy away from. But a lot of people cannot learn from shame. And so this is something to consider. Also, if you care about what I was drinking just then, this is Double Shot Energy, Starbucks. And as a final card, we have the humor card, which says, to wrap this all up, I choose to focus on the lighter side of life. And so, like I said in the beginning, you might have just lost something. You might have just lost a person or an object or something. And it was really upsetting. But like choosing to not focus so much on like the negatives is a make or break. Like, what's that phrase? Whether you believe you can or can't, either way you're correct. So like it's all in the mindset, you know. And so ultimately, once again, I hope this was helpful. I hope this was useful. If you want to ask me further questions, if you want a personal private reading, you can hit me up. I'm going to leave some stuff in the description. And I thank you for being here. Have a good one.